Greetings, taxable assets, or should I say, collateral damage. Welcome to the audit. I am Senior Auditor Valerius Kraus of the Departmento Analytica, and if you are hearing my voice, it means you have survived the fiscal quarter without being liquidated by the administratum. Congratulations. Your reward is more work.
Sir, the recording room is active. We are live on the Voxcaster network.
I am aware we are live, Scribe. Do not state the obvious. It wastes oxygen, and the ventilation scrubbers are already failing. Listen to me, citizens. Today we are facing a financial liability of catastrophic proportions. A video report has been submitted to my desk by a civilian contractor. He's known as Auspex Tactics.
No.
The so-called 7 new discount box sets released for the Maelstrom event of January 2026.
The civilian contractor seemed quite pleased, sir. I have reviewed his transcript. He used words like prosperous and good deal. He seemed to imply that the savings were substantial.
Prosperous. A dry, barking laugh that turns into a cough. Good deal. This is exactly the kind of gloss-brained optimism that leads to bankruptcy and heresy, usually in that order. This civilian, he looks at a box of plastic and sees a toy. I look at it and I see a ledger. I see asset valuation. I see the inevitable grind of the war machine. He sees a discount. I see a trap. Today, we are going to correct this report. I have here the Forensic Master Report, Strategic Asset Valuation and Meta-Analysis of the January 2026 Maelstrom Release Wave. Good. Scribe, pick up the contractor's transcript, hold it with both hands, and do not tremble. It makes the paper rattle.
I'm holding it, Senior Auditor. My stabilizers are locked.
Good. We're going to conduct a line-by-line audit. We're going to strip away the marketing veneer and look at the cold, hard, tactical, and financial reality of these assets. Because out there, in the void, savings do not matter. Survival matters.
Yeah.
Efficiency matters. Let us begin. Audit item 1, the 1,000 Sons, the so-called Tzaangor war flock. Read the civilian's assessment.
Yes, sir. Reading from the Auspex Tactics transcript, quote, "This one adds up to around about 230 points worth of models, which is pretty spectacularly low, around 1.5 points per dollar. But for those who did have a core 1,000 Sons army, it feels like it's an okay expansion. Nice skirmish and interference units." End quote. He emphasizes the model count, sir. 20 Tzaangors and a shaman.
Okay, expansion. Spectacularly low points.
Sir, the mathematical ratio is technically correct, the points per dollar ratio. It does suggest high volume.
Volume of what, Scribe? Volume of meat. It is not an okay expansion. It is a market trap. It is inventory liquidation disguised as reinforcement. This is what I call penny stock violence.
I do not follow, sir. If the model count is high, is that not a surplus of assets?
It is a surplus of liability. Let's open the ledger on the Cabal point economy. Do you recall the third law of sorcerer's supply?
Power requires presence.
Precisely. The 1,000 Sons function on a strict economy. A very strict one. It is not like the simple supply lines of the Astra Militarum, where a body is just a body. The 1,000 Sons run on the Cabal of sorcerers. Every turn, at the start of the battle round, your units, your sorceress units, generate Cabal points. These points are ammunition. You spend 6 points to teleport a unit across the board. You spend 5 to strip armor saves. You spend 7 to cast Doombolt and delete a tank.
And the Tzaangors, the ones in this box.
They are an economic void, a black hole in your balance sheet. A unit of Tzaangors costs roughly the same points as a low-level sorcerer or a small squad of rubrics, yet they contribute 0
Nothing
to that Cabal pool. They're biologically incapable of contributing to the magical economy. Therefore, Auspex's claim that this is an okay expansion is a forensic lie.
So by taking this box,
By taking this box, you are starting every single turn with a deficit. If you fill your army with 230 points of these Tzaangors, as this box suggests, you are effectively starting every turn with 3 or 4 fewer Cabal points than your opponent who bought Rubric Marines. Over 5 turns, that is 20 missed points. That is 3 Doombolts you didn't cast. That is a game-losing deficit. It's that simple.
But Auspex mentions they are nice skirmish units, perhaps for board control?
They are chaff. They are dying meat.
Yeah.
The Warpmeld Pact detachment that made them viable in the 9th edition is dead and buried. Gone. This box is an F-tier asset. The Departmento Analytica labels this inventory clearance. They're trying to offload sprues that have been gathering dust in a warehouse since the Prospero Burns campaign. Listen to me, taxpayer. Unless you are playing Age of Sigmar, or unless you simply enjoy painting beaks, you are to avoid this box. It is liability on your balance sheet. Next item.
Moving on to audit item 2, the Legio Custodes.
The Golden Boys. Let's hear the civilian take.
Auspex Tactics says, quote, "Unfortunately, bear in mind that all this comes with a big caveat. We don't yet know whether or not they'll survive until the long term. Games Workshop have not confirmed that they won't be sending these to Legends in 11th edition. My temptation will be to pass up on this box set." End quote.
Pass it. Pass it up.
He seems worried about the rules validity, sir, the Legends designation. It would retire them from competitive play. It is a valid concern for a long-term investor, is it not?
It is the concern of a coward who does not understand industrial manufacturing. This is why civilians should not be allowed to handle heavy machinery or financial advice. This box, Scribe, is not something to pass up. This box is the gold standard. It is the plastic revolution.
Forensic revolution.
Look at the forensic reality. For 10 years, 10 long, miserable years, if you wanted to play Adeptus Custodes competently, you had to pay the resin tax. You needed the Caladius Grav-tank. You needed the Contemptor Achilles Dreadnought.
Yeah.
And where did you get them?
Forge World, sir.
Correct. You paid premium prices for resin blocks that arrived from the manufactorum warped, smelling of release agents and chemicals. You had to wash them, heat them with a thermal gun, bend them into shape, and pray to the Messiah they didn't snap. It was a barrier to entry, a resin barrier. It cost you not just thrones, but your mental stability.
And this box rectifies that.
This box shatters that barrier. The Forensic Master Report confirms these are newly tooled plastic kits. Newly tooled. Do you understand the economic arbitrage here? Games Workshop does not cut steel molds for plastic kits, only to retire them to Legends in 6 months. That is not how capital allocation works. That's not how any of this works. When they make a mold, they expect a return on investment over 6 to 8 years. The risk of these units going to Legends is near zero. This civilian's fear is completely unfounded.
So it is a safe investment. But what of the tactical value? Auspex did not elaborate on the lethality.
Then we shall elaborate for him. The Caladius Annihilator with the Twin Arachnus Heavy Blaze Cannon is the keystone asset for anti-tank warfare. Without it, the Custodes are just men with spears, poking at rhinos. With it, they are a modern military force. And the Gladius Dreadnought, it's a distraction carnifex.
A distraction carnifex, sir. I am familiar with the term regarding tyrannid bioforms, but how does a golden sarcophagus fulfill that role?
Psychology, Scribe. Psychology. A distraction carnifex is any unit that is visually imposing and physically dangerous. It demands the enemy's attention. The Caladius has a 4-up invulnerable save and a heavy flamer. It is hard to kill, very hard. So if the enemy shoots it, they are wasting shots that should have gone into your scoring units. If they ignore it, it walks up and burns them. It forces the opponent to make a bad trade. Oh. That is the value of the plastic in this box. It buys you psychological control of the center board.
I will make a note of that, sir. S-tier allocation.
You do that. Wait, stop writing.
Sir.
I can hear it.
Hear what, sir?
You're breathing. It's moist. It's interfering with my audit. And the air. By the throne. The air in here. It smells like corpse starch and despair.
The ventilation budget was cut, sir, to pay for the new hololith projectors in the upper spire. The tech priest said the air quality is within tolerable margins for non-essential personnel.
Ugh, of course it is. The High Lords get pretty lights and we get recycled breath. Do you know what happens when you breathe recycled breath too long, Scribe? You start making mistakes. You start thinking Tzaangors are a good investment. If you do not regulate your respiratory intake, I will have your lungs replaced with industrial bellows. At least then the rhythm will be consistent.
I will. I will hold my breath, sir. Or breathe in sync with the fan.
Say that you do. Now, audit item 3. The Chaos Space Marines. The Lords of the Maelstrom. What does the civilian contractor say about the pirates?
Hurriedly reading, Auspex states, quote, "The Red Corsair Raiders, I suspect, are probably going to land at a bit cheaper than chosen. Overall discount is probably going to be a bit on the Nebula side. If they're sold in box sets of 5, they're going to be significantly more per model," end quote. Sir, I must press the point on the Nebula side discount. The civilian contractor's math. If these raiders are repackaged Kilteen sprues, the price per model increases by nearly 15%. Is that not a misappropriation of funds?
Price per model, again with a small thinking. You're looking at the price tag. I am telling you to look at the movement characteristic. Do not be a bean counter, Scribe. Be an auditor.
I am merely noting that the asset it's expensive for infantry.
Expensive, fine.
Yeah.
Let's talk about meta equity.
Yeah.
In the current 10th edition rule set, what is the most valuable resource? It isn't wounds, it is not armor, it is threat range. The Red Corsair Raiders in this box are trading pieces. They're designed for the Renegade Raiders detachment. They have the Advance and Charge Doctrine. Imagine, Scrap, imagine if you could run at full speed and still punch someone in the face. That is the tactical advantage. A normal unit moves 6 inches, These renegades can move 6, advance D6, and still charge 2D6. There's an average threat range of 18 to 24 inches. That 15% price hike you were so worried about, you are paying for the ability to touch the enemy deployment zone on turn 1.
And the character model included. Huron Blackheart.
The Tyrant of Badab, a force multiplier. The Forensic Masker Report identifies his value not in his combat stats, but in his utility. Specifically, his ability to redeploy units, if he retains that ability from the old codex.
A tactical insurance policy?
Exactly. If you deploy your heavy guns on the left, and the enemy deploys their tanks on the right, Chiron allows you to pick up your guns and move them. That is worth more than points. It is priceless. It effectively monetizes the sunk cost fallacy. Veteran players will buy this box just to get the new Huron and the new Raiders. They will pay the bloat tax of the Traitor Guardsmen and the Legionaries just to get the new tech. It is a silver tier asset. It is cynical, it is predatory, and it is brilliant. Games Workshop is selling us our own nostalgia wrapped in new plastic, and we will buy it. Next.
Audit item 4. The Aeldari. The, Eldritch Raiders.
He knows filth. Let's get this over with.
Auspex notes, quote, "The Sky Reavers sound to me like they'd probably be a little cheaper versus Swooping Hawks. It feels like they might have a bit of role overlap in competition with Swooping Hawks and Warp Spiders. Feels a bit low on the plastic side." End quote.
Role overlap. He thinks because they both have jump packs, they are the same. This is why amateurs lose wars.
But sir, if the army already possesses Swooping Hawks, why invest in Sky Reavers? It seems redundant.
It is not redundancy, Scribe. It is Xeno's tax relief. Look at the Sky Reavers. The audit confirms they possess Deep Strike, Scout, and Reactive Move. In the current economy of war, we call this an action monkey.
An action monkey? That sounds derogatory.
That's an economic classification. An action monkey is a unit whose sole purpose is to drop from the sky, perform a secondary objective, scan a corner, plant a flag, retrieve data, and then disappear before the enemy can kill them. Auspex worries about overlap with Swooping Hawks. I tell you, due to codex creep, these new units will likely replace the Swooping Hawks. The Hawks are old, Scrub. Their models are ancient finecast. These Sky Reavers are the new standard.
So you were predicting a depreciation of the older assets.
I am predicting obsolescence. And look at the rest of the box, the soup factor. Prince Ariel returns. But look at the Viper jet bike, the Starfang variant. This replaces a sculpt from 1997. Do you know where you were in 1997, Scribe?
I had not been lobotomized yet, sir. I believe I was a file clerk in the Agrarian District.
Exactly. It was a long time ago. This update is not just about plastic volume. It is about modernizing the glass cannon playstyle. The Eldari do not survive being hit. They survive by not being there when the hammer falls. This box provides the tools to be annoying, elusive, and lethal. It is a B-tier asset. Good for specialists, but high keyword risk.
Keyword risk?
If the Corsair keyword does not interact with the main Eldari army rules, if they don't get the fate dice, then their value plummets. It is a speculative investment, like buying bonds in a hive city that is currently under siege. High risk, high reward. Proceed.
Audit item 5. The Leagues of Votann. The Maelstrom Battalion.
The squats? Short stature, high yield. What does the civilian say?
He is disappointed. Quote, "Clock in at under 300 points. Pretty tiny for the amount of points that you get. Doesn't feel hugely stand out to me." End quote. He argues that for the price, you're getting very little material on the table.
Points count. He's weighing the meat instead of testing the edge of the blade. This is a failure of forensic vision.
Is the box actually good, sir? Under 300 points is a very small detachment.
It is the second wave, Scribe. The second wave. It is not about how many points are in the box. It is about the new mechanics those points represent. Look at the Ironkin Steeljacks. Look at their weaponry. Vulcanite.
Vulcanite, I have that listed here. Ancient thermal ray technology.
Correct. But we must audit the synergy. The synergy. In the current rule set, Vulcanite almost always confers devastating wounds. That means critical hits bypass armor. They cause mortal wounds. Now, overlay the Votann faction rule. Judgment tokens.
The tokens that represent a grudge.
The tokens that represent a death sentence. Judgment tokens allow Votann units to count hits as critical hits automatically. If an enemy has 2 tokens, a roll of a 5 or a 6 is a crit.
I see.
Do you really? If the new codex allows those automatic criticals to trigger the devastating wounds ability, which is the current trend in Departmento design, you have a lethality spike. You have a unit that isn't just shooting. It is deleting models without allowing them a saving throw. You are bypassing the armor stat entirely.
So the low point count is a deception.
It is a tactical expansion. You do not buy this box to fill out your 2,000 points cheaply. You buy it to access the Vulcanite tech before your opponent figures out how to counter it, is paying a premium for a weapon of mass destruction. That is always a sound investment.
I see. That is a terrifying calculation.
War is mathematics, Scribe. The rest is just noise. But let's finish this. The leftovers. Audit item 6 to Drukhari and the Demons.
Yes, quickly. Auspex calls the Drukhari box fairly solid with a 32% discount, and the Demons box fairly good with the 38% discount. He mentions a nice variety.
Nice variety. Fairly solid. Such lukewarm analysis. Let me translate this into Departmento standards. These are the transport tax and the monster.
A transport tax.
Look at the Drukhari box. What is inside? Witches, Hellions, Venoms.
The witches seem to be the bulk of the infantry.
And they are zombie Luke assets. Strength 3 attacks bouncing off toughness 4 Space Marines. In the current meta, they are useless in a fight. They are meat for the grinder. But the Venoms, the transports. Drukhari armies cannot function without Venoms. They cannot. They need the hulls to protect their fragile infantry. This box forces you to buy the witches, the tax, just to get the discount on the Venoms. You are paying for the privilege of owning the transport, the infantry you can throw in the bin or use as base decoration.
And the Demons, the monster mash.
The Lord of Change, the big bird.
Yeah.
That is the only asset in that box that matters. The discount is high, yes, but only because the Lord of Change is expensive. The rest. Horrors, pink horrors, blue horrors, brimstone horrors. Do you know what I call them?
Demons of Chach.
Tedious paperwork. You have to paint 10 pinks. Then they die and split into 20 blues. Then they die and split into 20 brimstones. It is an administrative nightmare on the tabletop. You spend more time managing your split tokens than you do fighting.
The verdict.
Utility audits. Buy the Drukhari box only if you need the hulls. Buy the Demons box only if you need the big bird. Otherwise, stay away.
That concludes the list, Senior Auditor.
Done. We are never done, Scribe. We just move to the next file. Look at them, all these new boxes, the shiny golden Custodes, the speeding red Corsairs, the Tzaangors screaming for a god that hates them.
They look impressive on the packaging. The colors are quite vivid.
They look like products, but they were just fresh meat. We sit here in the Departmento Analytica calculating savings, calculating points per dollar. We talk about plastic revolutions and meta equity, but down there, in the Maelstrom, it is just another way to die.
Sir, you are becoming philosophical. It is unsettling.
The savings are a lie, Scribe. In this galaxy, life is the cheapest currency of all. Games Workshop gives us a discount on the models, but the cost is always the same. Time, attention, devotion. The plastic revolution is just a prettier way to send good men to their deaths.
Shall I file the report under F for financial?
Oh, no, file it under I.
For investment?
For inevitable.
Yeah.
You have your orders, listener. The Maelstrom is open. The assets are deployed. Make your purchases. Balance your ledgers. But remember, the house always wins. And the house is made of skulls.
Well, brimpering.
Dismissed. Pay your tithes, citizens.